Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. Every Saturday, I've been looking at the weekly close, and last week we saw precious metals pull back, but copper held strong. This week, everything fell. Gold dropped over 10%, silver nearly 16%, and now even copper is down hard. That shift matters because when all metals start moving together like this, it usually means something bigger is happening beneath the surface. So the real question isn't just what's happening, it's what should stackers actually do right now? Congratulations to my wife for getting to the comment section first. Guys, I promise she has no idea when these videos are going to drop exactly, so she actually does genuinely get to the comments first. And it's so amazing to have her support not only in filming of the videos, but after production and once they're live. Thank you so much for just being with me. Really, this channel started as a way for me to have conversations with her about precious metals where there was a bit of a end to the video so that she didn't feel like I was just going to go on and on, because I can definitely do that. So really, y'all are just listening in on the conversations that I'm wanting to have with my wife, and I am so grateful that you are here. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So this week, March 13th to March 20th, we saw a broad sell-off across the entire metals complex. Gold fell about 10.5%, silver dropped about 15.8%, platinum declined around 5%, palladium fell about 9%, and copper dropped about 8%. Now, at a first glance, it looks like a really bad week. But when you compare how each metal moved relative to each other, and especially when you compare the past few months, you start to see something more important. This wasn't just a normal pullback, this was a shift. So in this video, we're going to break down what this week means, not just for the market, but for stackers trying to protect their wealth, manage risk, and position themselves moving forward. Really, when there are massive movements like that, it feels like there is something we need to do. Sell, rebalance, buy aggressively, but the reality is the kind of environment usually calls for something else: patience and positioning. Over the past few months, we saw a strong move higher across the entire metals complex. Silver ran hard, platinum spiked, and even gold pushed higher. And now we're seeing a sharp pullback across the board. So the question becomes, is this a buying opportunity, or is this the start of something deeper? And the honest answer is we just don't know yet. This could be a normal correction inside of a larger uptrend, or the beginning of a broader macro driven move lower. So instead of thinking in extremes, buy everything or sell everything, it's better to approach this with stay balanced and move gradually. One of the clearest signals we saw this week was the move between gold and silver. Silver fell much more than gold, and that pushed the gold to silver ratio higher, meaning gold outperformed. And this is exactly what tends to happen during a downward market. Gold holds its value better than silver, and silver carries more of the volatility. And this is where your personal strategy comes in, because there isn't one perfect allocation. There's only the allocation that fits your risk tolerance. If you're more conservative, this kind of week reinforces why you should hold more gold. Gold provides the stability when things get volatile. If you're more aggressive, you might see this silver drop as a potential opportunity, but you also have to be comfortable with the volatility continuing. So instead of reacting emotionally, ask yourself, how much volatility am I comfortable holding? Because that answer should guide you on your own personal gold to silver balance rather than just the market itself. Let's talk a little bit about platinum and palladium. This week, platinum actually held up better than the rest of all of the precious metals, and that shifts from the previous week where it's been a lot weaker. Palladium, on the other hand, continued to struggle quite a bit. And what this shows is that the platinum group metals don't always move in sync with gold or silver, or even with each other. They're more tied to industrial demand, especially automotive and emerging technologies. For stackers, this highlights an important point. Diversification across metals isn't just holding different things, it's about holding different metals that respond to different forces. Gold responds to monetary conditions, silver sits between monetary and industrial, and platinum group metals lean more heavily into that industrial side. So, having some exposure outside of just gold and silver can sometimes help balance those different drivers. But again, this comes back to sizing. Platinum might be worth a small allocation. Palladium is typically more volatile and uncertain, so something for smaller, more speculative exposure. Then, of course, there's copper, and copper is what really changed the story this week. Last week, copper was rising while all precious metals were falling, and that told us the move was likely just metals specific. But this week, copper dropped too, and it dropped pretty hard. And that is a different signal. Copper is one of the most important industrial metals in the entire world. It's tied to construction, infrastructure, electronics, energy, and manufacturing. So when copper falls alongside the precious metals, it can suggest a broader economic concern, slowing industrial demand, or a large scale liquidation across commodities. And that last one is what I think we're seeing the most. And these signals from copper do matter because other metals like silver, platinum, and palladium all depend, at least partially, on this industrial demand. So if copper continues to weaken, it could mean continued pressure on those metals in the short term. But if copper stabilizes, it could mean one of the first signs that something is turning around. So copper becomes something to watch closely, not necessarily something to act on immediately, but something that helps you understand what may come next. So, where does this leave us? When everything is down and uncertainty is rising, what should stackers actually be doing? The answer isn't aggressive buying, and it's also not panic selling either. It's measured positioning. If you're already balanced, this may be a time to simply hold and observe. But if you've drifted too heavily into one metal, especially after the recent run up or this pullback, this could be the moment to slowly bring things back into balance. And if you're adding, it should be done gradually, not trying to catch up or catch the exact bottom, but building over time. Because the reality is, markets don't bottom in one single week, they move in phases. And it's hard to tell exactly which part of the phase we're in at this moment. At the end of the day, this week wasn't about the prices falling. It's about what kind of move we're seeing. Last week we looked like normal conditions, and this week looks a lot more like a broader macro driven shift. And when that happens, the goal as a stacker is to not react too quickly. It's to stay grounded in your strategy, understand your risk tolerance, and stay diversified in a way that helps you. However, don't make massive movements based on the emotion you felt or are feeling from the big upswing or the pullback that happened. If this pullback is making you feel uncomfortable with your positioning, now would be the time to take note of what ratio you have and possibly slowly start to change it. The key word there is slowly. Don't make massive movements based on 1 or 2 days worth of performance. Because in markets like this, the people who win long term aren't those who react the fastest. They're the ones who stay consistent. I just made my own line of coffee. Joseph's Reserves It's Today Again coffee. Most mornings aren't dramatic. They're quiet. You wake up, pour yourself a cup, and now you have a choice. Drift through the day or take hold of what's in front of you. That's really what this whole thing's about. Showing up, building good habits, staying disciplined in the small things. Whether that's stacking consistently, learning something new, or just being faithful with what you've been given. I put these words on every bag to remind myself first. Every morning is a gift. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. So take a breath, take a sip, and let's get to work. It's today again. You can now write me at Joseph's Reserves, 10160 Highway 242, Suite 800, number 401 in Conroe, Texas, zip code 77385. Make sure to include your information so I can write you back. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. Go down to the comment section to either make friends or catch up with the friends you've made in this community. Share this video to anyone you think that might like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how small, just keep stacking. I ended up with a whole lot of extra video today, so I'm just going to leave it here. Feel free to stick around and see a little bit more of my collection.